Have you ever wondered where the fantastical tales of gods, goddesses, and mythical creatures of Greek mythology originated? Let's dive back in time all the way to the Bronze Age where these myths probably took root. Picture this. A time before written language, before Netflix, even before sliced bread. In this era, stories weren't written, they were told. These tales of mighty gods and epic battles were shared around the fire, passed down from parent to child, from storyteller to eager listener. These stories, these myths, were the entertainment of the day. And let's face it, who wouldn't be entertained by a one-eyed giant or a god who can hurl lightning bolts? These oral traditions eventually found their way into the written word, becoming immortalized in epic poems like the Iliad and the Odyssey. So the next time you think your family stories are old, remember, the Greeks have been sharing these mythical tales for over 3,000 years. As the Greek civilization evolved, so did their pantheon. From the primordial deities to the well-known Olympians, the gods of Greek mythology have definitely had their ups and downs. Let's start with the primordial deities, the original gangsters of Greek mythology. These are the gods who popped into existence at the dawn of time, representing elemental forces. Among them were Gaia, the Earth Mother, and Uranus, the Sky Father. They had a bunch of kids, including the Titans, who weren't exactly poster children for good behavior. The Titans, led by Cronus, overthrew their parents in what could only be described as a celestial coup. But if you think that was the end of the family drama, oh boy, you're in for a surprise. Cronus, ever the paranoid dad, swallowed his kids whole to prevent his own overthrow. Talk about overreacting, am I right? But as it turns out, one of his sons, Zeus, had a knack for dodging disaster. He escaped his father's "eat your kids" policy, grew up, and led the Olympians to overthrow the Titans in an event known as the Titanomachy. The Olympians, including gods like Poseidon, Hera, and Athena, then became the ruling deities, setting up shop on Mount Olympus. And you thought your family gatherings were chaotic. Imagine having Zeus as your brother. As the Greeks began to explore philosophy and science, their mythology evolved yet again. The ancient Greeks were not content with just the tales of gods and monsters. They craved a connection between the mystical and the mundane, the celestial and the terrestrial. So they began to weave their mythology into their history, creating a tapestry of fact and fiction that we now refer to as the heroic age. This was a time when the lines between myth and history were blurred, when demigods walked among men. Heroes like Hercules, who was believed to be the son of Zeus, the king of the gods. Hercules' 12 labors, from slaying the Nemean lion to fetching the golden apples of the Hesperides, were seen not just as mythical exploits but historical events. Then there was Alexander the Great, a mortal man, yet believed to be a demigod. His conquests from Greece to Egypt and as far as India were not just military victories but a divine mission. Now imagine being a child in ancient Greece, learning about your history. Your lessons wouldn't just be about dates and battles, but also about gods and monsters, heroes and villains. You wouldn't just learn about Alexander's conquests, but also about Hercules' labors. So not only did these mythical tales serve as bedtime stories, but they also made history lessons a lot more interesting. As all good things must come to an end, so did the age of Greek mythology. With the rise of Christianity in the Roman Empire, the vibrant tapestry of Greek myths began to fade into the backdrop of history. But, much like the Hydra, it was impossible to completely erase these tales. One head may have been cut off, but two more grew in its place. These myths, these stories of gods and heroes, they didn't simply vanish. Instead, they transformed, morphing into the bedrock of Western culture. From the literary masterpieces of Shakespeare and J.K. Rowling to the stunning frescoes of Michelangelo, the whispers of Greek mythology can be heard, seen, and felt. And it's not just in art and literature where these myths live on. The fields of psychology and astronomy are deeply rooted in these tales. From the narcissistic personality disorder named after Narcissus, to the planets named after the gods, Greek mythology continues to echo through the ages. Who knew that stories from over 3 millennia ago would still be shaping our world today? Now that's what I call a legacy.